11. 30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6, 5.
My name is Renato Moncini. I was born in Italy. I started to know that I was able to do some good, painting, but the experience that I had the tendency for the art, and enjoy painting and representing mostly mechanical things from the very beginning. I was more attracted by car, airplane, and people than the other things that has to be depicted. At the beginning was an aircraft engineer working on American engine, 18-cylinder piston engine. And that lasted until the course that they sent me to the States. But after that, I was a mechanical operator on rockets. The thing that brought me to the United States was a course that I took for the Air Force. This was happening in 1958. They chose some airmen to come to the state and to work on to get training, took training on the guided missiles for the defense of Europe, for the NATO troops. So this training lasted a year. And during the time, I spent 6 months in Huntsville, Alabama, and 6 months in Fort Bliss, Texas. I came to work for NASA through the contractor. First was an outside contractor, was from Birmingham, Alabama, and it was operating in Huntsville. So I worked for them for about 3 years. At the end of the expiration of the contract, I changed support contractor and went for another one. Then another one. Finally, RCA was the last one of the contract. After that, I was asked if I would like to join NASA. Of course, I accepted the offer, and because the benefit were much greater than any private contractor.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space.
Let's remember that this thing took place during the time of the Cold War. So it was a lot of prestigious and also a lot of fear for the American people about the Russian involved on the similar program. And unfortunately, the Russian beat us. They were able to put the first satellite in space before we did it. And I think America trembled in their pants because they thought that they were going to, get such advantage that they could control control of the United States. So that's because it was so much emphasis from Washington to put pressure on this program in order to catch up. And we did it on the second, the second one in orbit was the United States. So from then on, we got the advantage on the space exploration. The involved with von Braun and many other German scientists was that they were needed some conceptual. The dream there were many in those days, so they had somebody that could illustrate this conceptual space rendering. These were strictly kind of loose type painting, very colorful and very creative. And even today I'm surprised to see what will come up on those days, because the information was very, very few. It was up to us to create this space scene. The environment that we had in the 60s, it was amazing. And all of a sudden, this new program, this space program, NASA was born in 1958, and since the conception, it was a different institution from the Army, which it came from. And so it started to roll in, so that gets some interest on the public about this challenge that we had. Fortunately, it was a blessing to have such a man. I don't say that it was because it was a Democrat, it was a Republican, and in politics. He was just a man of vision to have a Kennedy in charge, and which somehow had very understanding with von Braun. He was another guy of the similar caliber. So the two, one he was given the go-ahead, and one had the technology for this rocketry. So between the two, one need the other, and it was a marriage in heaven, this thing. And it started to roll on. But the speed that took place, I know that they wanted to go to the moon before the decade was over, but even before that, I saw a fast growing in the equipment and everything, study and proposal for this mission to the moon. For the very first early, we were curious to see how we got there. A little bit of time, we started to have some program and showing to travel to the moon. It was kind of hard to understand, but we heard from the beginning. And since then, we started to do illustration on Mama's side, and we were marveling the size of this rocket that was going to take place, that was going to take us to the moon. So it was an exciting time. I saw everyone, those launches, sometimes daytime, sometimes night. It was very exciting. It was a lot of preparation, anticipation for this thing. Usually I would sit and do some recording by either by sketches in pencil or in paint, but definitely, yeah, everybody had the camera and they had to take some photographs or some shot while the thing would take off. The blast off was very impressive because the noise. The closest point we could view this rocket was 4 miles away, and even at this point, the sound of the rocket, it was so intense that you could hear pounding on your chest when the thing went off. We had no restriction at the cave. Once we got our pass, we were able to roam around and see anything we would like to see, especially in case when I had to escort some of this famous painter commissioned by NASA. Then we had free reign, free access to any facility, to the point which we would go into the clean room with the dress up, of course, with the cap and all this white robe, but we were able to visit and the astronaut in the preparation, in training for the mission. With Apollo 11, it was the first Apollo capsule that landed on the moon. The commander was Neil Armstrong, as you remember very well, when he first stepped on the moon and deployed the flag. This was a highlight for the whole program. You know, people in Huntsville were very ecstatic about the success.
Here is a bulletin from ABC News. The Apollo 13 spacecraft has had a serious power supply malfunction that could cause the lunar landing mission to be terminated early.
I was involved with Apollo 13 by doing this illustration, very critical to understand for the press and for the public to understand the return. I received information from some scientists, from astronauts, and all the people that knew what happened because it was on schedule, this maneuver. And I was right there at my own place of the graphic department in the Huntsville. The tension was incredible. Everybody was worrying about this three guy coming back from space, how they were able to come back with a damaged capsule command module that exploded. And the reason for exploded because the oxygen tank blew up. So they lost most of the oxygen. It was very low left. So the return to Earth was very critical. And even the electrical, the power on board was down to the marginal. Scientists and the technician in Houston tried to come up with the less use of electricity in order for him to complete the return to the Earth. Now, because they didn't no landing on the moon, they had to retain all those modules with them all the way back to Earth. So when he got in Earth proximity, they adjusted the route and they adjusted the trajectory to re-entry, but then they had to start to discard out this capsule, this module that they were all attached. And so the maneuver was very critical. One by one, they were able to jettison into space in order to remain only the common part, which is the command module, to return to Earth. Because of this, they gave me some, the astronaut themselves gave me some instruction, what happened, how they discard these things, and finally the final capsule on re-entry to Earth. And very quickly I produced an illustration that depicts this sequence. which was published on the mission report. And it was a very colorful illustration, very quick, a little bit abstract, if you consider that the trail that this capsule was leaving. So he was a successful and memorable, most memorable things that are done.
Apollo 13, this is recovery. We observed your RCS burn, over. The recovery, Apollo 13 is descending. Apollo 6, this is recovery, over. Photo 1 splashed in at this time. The three chutes are displaced in the water. 0 degrees magnetic 3.5 miles. He will came up. Q0, roger. This photo 1, the command module is stable 1 at this time. They're riding comfortably. The vertical axis are approximately 15 degrees.